You're tuning into the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast covering WWE, AEW, and TNA. Let's get uncooked, uncorked, and uncensored.
What's up, everybody? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, the Hot Commodity, and C, joined by my own personal hot commodity, who's here as well.
That's me.
And we are eating our sweet tart. What are these? Tropic fruit punch straws. And they're very good. Ropes. They should sponsor us. That'd be really good.
It's almost like a year's supply.
That would be awesome. So, sweet tarts, if you're listening, give us some of those fruit punch tropical ropes.
We're not too proud to say we will take any candy.
For free. We'll take it. Any candy. But you're not here.
Especially gummies.
I highly doubt you people are here to hear about our addiction to candy. What you are here to is to listen to our recap of WWE NXT Battleground 2025 live in Tampa, Florida. And it was a historic night in the fact with the main event, which we'll cover. The TNA Championship is on the line and defended in an NXT pay-per-view. And we'll get there. But let's talk about the opening of the show. The NXT Women's North American Champion, Sol Ruca, with Zarya in her corner, defense against the first ever Women's North American Champion, Kalani Jordan.
This is why it's a historical night, this match.
Well, you enjoy this match. You really liked it.
It was good.
You said during the match that it was really good.
Thanks.
I thought it was a really good match. I think that with this show, I felt like the women stole the show.
One thing really stole the show, but the women stole the
show. Yeah. So we see Sol ride down in a skateboard with Zarya, which is kind of weird. Like, I don't really know if I like the whole skateboardy gimmick. I get it. She's like a cool surfer chick. But it is a little bit gimmicky. Kalani lands a crucifix bomb and hits a nothing but net across the ropes for a 2 count. Sol hits a springboard X Factor and then a backpack stunner. Sol hits a leg backstabber, which is really cool to see, and then a cartwheel dive to the floor. And Sol just is fucking athletic the way she moves around the ring. Kalani hits a frog splash for a 2 and then a Spanish fly. Kalani goes for a split-legged moonsault, but Zarya moves Sol out of the way. The referee catches this and kicks Zarya out of the ring area. Sol then ends up hitting a Soul Snatcher, and Sol Ruca retains the Women's North American Championship. What were your thoughts on this opening match here?
It was good. They did a lot of high-flying, cool moves, and, I feel like the NXT, a lot of their matches are better because they're really trying to prove themselves.
I feel like Zarya is going to be, like, an issue for Sol Ruca because it looks as if Zarya is willing to cheat to get wins, and Sol wasn't like that before. And either Sol is going to become full-blown heel, and, like, both Zarya and her will be bad guys, or Zarya is going to, try to get the title. But it's interesting because Sol is not a heel, and even though it wasn't her to do it, it now begs the question for Kalani Jordan, like, could you have beaten me without Zarya? So, and that's not what a babyface champion is. They don't need anybody in their corner to win,
Well, things could change.
We'll see. Mike Santana, who's a former AEW wrestler, is now back in TNA, but he shows up on the NXT TV screen, and he says that he's here to watch the TNA Championship be defended. That's when Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew confront him, and Tavion Heights challenges Mike Santana to a match for this Tuesday on NXT. And Mike agrees, but he basically talks shit about Charlie Dempsey. And a lot of people are really happy to see Mike Santana here in NXT. He left AEW. He had issues with his partner, Ortiz. Decided to say, fuck it, I'm going to leave. And comes and does his own thing. And he's actually competing on a pay-per-view on Peacock. So, I mean, I know a lot of people don't think NXT is big, but they went head-to-head with AEW, and he was on the competitor show. So, but I'm excited to see Mike Santana, what he's going to do on this Tuesday edition of NXT.
I feel like, sorry, I think I have a cold. I'm very congested. I feel like NXT is AEW's competition. Like we already know that WWE knocks them out of the park. Like AEW barely has. Sometimes there's like hundreds of seats not filled. So I feel like NXT is their competition now.
Yeah, I mean AEW is like doing good, but they really are competing with NXT. We now have a 6-man tag match. The Culling, Sean Spears, Nico Vance. I don't know. It means these guys are fucking freaks. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know where.
It's all right.
All right. So it's Sean Spears, Nico Vance, and Brooks Jensen with Izzy Dame taking on Josh Briggs and the NXT Tag Team Champions Hank and Tank. And Josh Briggs is one hell of a man. He is tall. He is attractive, and he's nice looking. Um, Basic match here. Really, nothing stood out. Josh Briggs moonsaults Sean Spears for a 2 count. It's crazy to see a man that tall be able to do moves like that. Hank and Tank hit a running headbutt power slam to Brooks Jensen, and that gives Hank, Tank, and Josh Briggs a win. After Yoshiki Inamura makes a save after Culling attacks the winners of the match. What did you think of this one, though?
It was kind of basic. I think Hank and Tank are a little overrated. Um, they're all right, but it was just basic. And I didn't know who the Asian guy was that came in toward the end, so it didn't really mean a lot to me. But yeah.
I didn't know him either.
Has he ever been in NXT?
Yeah, I just don't really.
But is he from another company or is he NXT?
No, he's NXT. We have next up Tony D'Angelo versus the former underboss Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Totori. Channing Stacks Lorenzo versus Tony D'Angelo here. Tony hits a belly to belly to Stacks, sending him to the floor. Tony yells at Stacks, "All you had to do is listen to me," as he tosses Stacks into the railing and post. Stacks rams Tony D'Angelo into the apron and then chokes Tony across the ropes himself. Tony hits a spine buster and then lands a couple of body shots. And then Tony also hits a power bomb for a 2 count. Tony then starts to land a couple of blows at Stacks, but then he stops himself because he feels bad. This is his friend that he grew up with. At least that's what they're selling on commentary. Stacks ends up ramming Tony into the ring post and then cannonballs Tony into the post. Stacks hits a flying stomp to Tony across the ropes. Stacks apologizes to Tony once Tony gets the advantage. Tony stomps Stacks and is a spine buster. That's when Luca Crucifino comes out. And for some reason, you mentioned this, it didn't make any sense. Tony was distracted by this. And all Luca is doing is just standing there. This distraction allows Stacks to hit a low blow to Tony. The final blow, and Channing Stacks Lorenzo gets the win with some help from Luca after Luca goes to hug Tony, but Tony waves him off. So what'd you think?
There has to be some backstory we didn't catch.
Well, I all I know is that that these guys were all part of his group. Stacks turned on Tony, and then Stacks pretty much attacked everybody. Like in the video package, they showed Luca beat up by Stacks.
Beat him up, and he showed up. Why would Tony?
Well, Stacks got beat up by Stacks beat up Luca.
Right. So if Stacks beat up Luca and Luca shows up, I mean, and he doesn't do anything to either one of them, Tony should assume that he's there for him, not the person who beat him up.
Well, maybe he's a gangster. He knows all about everybody coming at him, so maybe he was thinking something was going to happen.
Well, I also like this new move that both of them were kind of doing, having the other one, making the other one bite the rope, and then doing the head stomp. It was kind of like Bite the Curb from American History X. Yeah. That's kind of cool because of their gimmick, like the mob type thing. That was cool. I like that.
You're cool and I like you. That was a good match, though. I feel like most of the matches on this card were decent.
Yeah, that was definitely a decent match, and I like both those guys. I think it's a good storyline.
They're both fucking sexy. Not like you. I mean, all three of them, even Luca. Not like you, but they're raw. That was nice to see on my TV for a little bit.
It was.
We enjoyed it. Next up, the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Jordynne Grace versus the NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer.
Booker T thought this was nice.
Juggy Duggy. I mean, I thought.
He has a thing for fucking Stephanie's.
I think Stephanie is very pretty.
She's pretty.
She's very. Oh yeah, Booker's cheating on Queen Charmel every week. She just looks very exotic. She's interesting looking. And Jordynne Grace is attractive. You know, she's very. You know, she's very athletic, butchy, but it's okay.
She is a little harsh looking, like like people like probably compare her to China, and I think in China's later days when she looked more feminine, I think China was prettier, but
Well, Jordynne Grace can fucking fight though, so that's all that really matters. So Jordynne drops Stephanie Vaquer across the announce desk. Stephanie grapevines Jordynne over the ropes and lands a springboard crossbody. Stephanie then does the Devil's Kiss, which Booker T has an orgasm over. Jordynne then hits a superplex into a jackhammer for a two count. Stephanie tosses Jordynne through the railing, which was very cool. It's like she just fucking, the whole railing exploded from that. Then Stephanie hits the SVB for a 2 count. Stephanie lands Hallow Be Thy Name, and then, which is also called the Spiral Tap, and Stephanie defeats Jordynne Grace here. After the match, Stephanie gets into the AAA ladies' faces, and I knew with Worlds Collide coming up that Stephanie was going to be the champion because she represents the Hispanic community, although she's from Chile. I don't know if that's Hispanic. So I knew she was gonna like retain the title, but I didn't care about these AAA women. They didn't look like one was almost like 60 years old and the other one was like 12, and it was just like very strange. But what did you think of the match?
It was a great match. They both showed up for sure.
I like them. They're both really good. Moving on, NXT North American Champion Ricky Saints comes out. He says, "I stay in at all egos, Ethan Page is mine 24/7. This title means the revolution will always be televised." Ethan Page runs in to attack Ricky Saints, but Ricky jumps onto Ethan Page and guards separate the two. These two will fight this Tuesday on NXT. We then see the NXT champion Oba Femi defending against Miles Bourne, and immediately there's a comparisons from Miles Bourne to Randy Orton from the way they look to the maneuvers that Miles Bourne performs. We see Miles land a power slam at one point, which is similar to the way Orton does it. Miles does a flying cross body, which was Orton's finisher at one point. Miles then lands a power slam for a 2 count. Oba lands a fall from grace, a clothesline, and then another 2 fall from graces, meaning that it took 3 of the offers to defeat Miles Bourne. Miles definitely Oba Femi, but the ruler of NXT retained the championship. He's been champion, he being Oba Femi, for a long time now, and I'm wondering to defeat him and become NXT champion. Oba is definitely going to move up to the main roster eventually. I'm just wondering when it's going to happen and who's going to take the title.
Away. I thought he was going to shake his hand in the ring, and he didn't. But halfway down the ramp, he turned around and like gave him the nod. So that was kind of nice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, our main event, TNA champion Joe Hendry. Do you believe in Joe Hendry?
Not really.
I do. It's okay.
I like him, but he's overrated.
Joe Hendry defending the TNA Championship against Trick Williams here. This was I paid attention to this match. It was a good main event. We saw Trick Williams land the bookend on the announce desk to Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry took suplex, but the ending comes when Trick Williams rakes Joe Hendry's eyes and then hits flatliner onto the first time ever a WWE superstar is now a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Also, fun fact, Trick Williams is the fourth ever African American person to become TNA champion. Huge thing here. The TNA president looks pissed off after Trick Williams wins. My question is, what does this mean? Will we get a little TNA invasion storyline here? What do you think? And what do you think about Joe Hendry losing?
Um, and sure, of course, thought Joe Hendry was going to win, but like I said to you last night, that it was almost like if Joe Hendry won, you would have gone up win because he's the TNA champion and they're not going to give him the belt. Like Trick Williams should have won that match. He's, I mean, you can't tell me otherwise. He should have won that match. He was kicking his ass, and I think it's really cool. Like I'm excited. I want to watch. We usually don't really watch NXT through the week, but I want to watch it. I almost want to watch TNA just to see what's going to happen this week and the chaos that it's going to cause.
Yeah, and it makes me more intrigued because anytime you've got another company competing, it's like I love that. I like it when the door is open and everybody's going at it.
Like they mentioned how I think maybe Jericho and somebody else in AEW have been TNA champions, but
Christian Cage, Kenny Omega, but those guys. Go ahead.
But like the way AEW is with Ring of Honor and stuff, that's kind of the norm over there. Like for WWE, this is like a huge first.
And also,
it's exciting.
It's WWE has been around a lot longer than both TNA and AEW combined. And the other thing too is
we get to see a TNA person get maybe an NXT time.
Something to remember too. The reason why this is also big is at the time AEW owned TNA. They were in partnership together, so that's why they were kind of like what WWE is doing now. But WWE is doing it better, I think.
Yeah,
I mean they're doing the same thing, but I just feel like you have a more national stage with WWE than you do with AEW, in my opinion.
And it seemed more taboo the way it happened. It was like
whoop that trick.
The way AEW and TNA were so intertwined, it was like, okay, like this is like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
In the words of Booker T. Yeah, whoop that trick. Well, this is a decent pay-per-view. Battleground, it's over. We've got our sights set on AEW Double or Nothing, which we're currently watching. We'll get that recap out as soon as possible. We've got an episode of Raw, SmackDown. I think, are we 2 weeks away from? I think we're 2 weeks away from Money in the Bank. So we're on the road to that. Attitude Year Season 3 coming out. Unforgiven coming up. So a lot heading your way. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content is created.
There's basically a pay-per-view every 2 weeks all summer.
The summer of uncensored wrestling. Ha ha ha. I sounded like Ted DiBiase there. I want money, money, money. Anyways, leave a comment. What was your favorite match of the night? Also, if you're listening to us, for you, Daddy. If you're listening to us, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay